Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Astottara Sutta Shri Śrīmad Bhāgavatam Swami Śrīla Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Centres Śrīla Prabhupada Ki Jai Grantharaja Śrīmad Bhāgavatam Ki Jai Samaveta Bhaktivedanta Ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premananda Ji Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna everyone. So I have been told it's verse number 21. Is that correct? 18? 19. Wow. Okay, so it's a different verse. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 3, the marriage of Sukanya and Chavana Muni. Verse number 18. Yakshyamanotha Sharyatis Yakshyamanotha Sharyatis Chavanasyashramam gataha Chavanasyashramam gataha Dadarsha duhituhu parshve Dadarsha duhituhu parshve Purusham Surya Varchasam Purusham Surya Varchasam Yakshyamano-tha Sharyatish Chavanas Yashramam Gataha Dadarsha Duhituhu Parshve Purusham Surya Varchasam. Mataji's. Yakshemanaha, desiring to perform a yagna. Atha, thus, Sharyatihi, King Sharyati, Chavanasya, of Chavanamuni, Ashramam, to the residence, Gataha, having gone, Dadarsha, he saw, Duhituhu, of his daughter, Parshve, by the side, Purusham, a man, Suryavarchasam, beautiful and effulgent like the sun. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada. Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. Thereafter King Sharyati, desiring to perform a sacrifice, went to the residence of Chavanamuni. There he saw by the side of his daughter a very beautiful young man as bright as the sun. Text 19 says no purport. Raja duhitaram praha krita pada bhivandanam ashishas chaprayunjano nati priti mana iva. After receiving obeisances from his daughter, the king, instead of offering blessings to her, appeared very displeased and spoke as follows. Text 20. Chikirchitam tekim idam patistvaya pralambhito loka namaskrito munihi yattvam jaragrastam asatya sammatam vihaya jaram bhajasemam advagam. O unchaste girl, what is this that you have desired to do? You have cheated the most respectable husband, who is honored by everyone, for I see that because he was old, diseased, and therefore unattractive, you have left his company to accept as your husband this young man who appears to be a beggar from the street. Purport. This shows the values of Vedic culture. According to the circumstances, Sukanya had been given a husband who was too old to be compatible with her. Because Chavanamuni was diseased and old, very old, he was certainly unfit for the beautiful daughter of King Sharyati. Nonetheless, her father expected her to be faithful to her husband. When he suddenly saw that his daughter had accepted someone else, even though the man was young and handsome, he immediately chastised her as asati, unchaste, because he assumed that she had accepted another man in the presence of her husband. According to Vedic culture, even if a young woman is given an old husband, she must respectfully serve him. This is chastity. It is not that because she dislikes her husband, she may give him up and accept another. This is against Vedic culture. According to Vedic culture, a woman must accept the husband given to her by her parents and remain chaste and faithful to him. Therefore, King Sharyati was surprised to see a young man by the side of Sukanya. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurur Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Scham He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vrindayai Tulsi Devyai Priyayai Kesavasacha Krishna Bhakti Pradadevi Satyavatyai Namo Namaha Vansha Kalpaturubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Sarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratushe Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Everybody, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Śrīmad Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. So, very nice to be in Melbourne once again, after maybe 8 years or so, I think. Not sure when I was here last. Nice to see all the devotees and my humble obeisances to all. Well, I was wondering what has been covered so far, because I was given verse number 21, and now it's verse number 20. So I am not prepared for this one, but I'll try. By the way, Vrajaraj Prabhuji, I had heard his lecture yesterday. I went online to catch up. He gave a very comprehensive, wonderful description of chastity and its benefits and so many other things. So I was thinking maybe I should not touch on that. It's already been covered. But maybe another aspect to the same thing. So we see here that the father has come, Saryati, the father of Sukanya, and all of a sudden he is seeing a young man with her daughter. And he came immediately to some sort of conclusion in his mind. It is often happening, everyone has experienced this. And we see something and we think this is what it is, when it's actually completely something else. We all see with our own perspective what we see, our own experience, knowledge. So many factors contribute to how we see a certain thing happening. And here, it is not, we cannot say entirely that he is at fault, but at the same time, it gives us a lesson as to how careful we have to be in order to judge. He is a father, he has a right, and the daughter did not mind, but it may not be the same case with others. That we misjudge someone because they have done something, and because it really seems like that. Just like, for example, time and time again you have seen someone act in a certain way, and now the 10th time that he is acting in this way, because you have an experience of the 9 times he has acted that way for that purpose, you think it's the same reason now, this time as well. Isn't it? It is natural to think that way. And yet, the 10th intention may be completely different. So, it's really very, very difficult to judge things. Sometimes we see, I've seen many examples where new devotees in a temple, someone who has just started their Krishna consciousness, and some senior devotees may actually look upon them like they don't know anything. That is also actually very dangerous, because we do not know their past life. We do not know how much Krishna consciousness they had practiced in their past life. They have come now in this life, they're going to start from this point onwards. And again, we don't have any right to judge. We can simply assist them in a way that is possible to assist them. So therefore, judgment, although we sometimes are put in a position where we have to judge, but we always have to keep at the back of our mind this thing about somebody. And therefore, because such things happen, immediately we can start suspecting something. Just like we have another example in the Shastra. This is in regards to even Krishna. Nobody is left without suspicion even, I mean, we remember that Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur said that a sannyasi or a guru should always act in such a way that all his actions are always above suspicion. So, if everything is above suspicion, still you will see there will be suspicion. And Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is always above suspicion, that he would act in the wrong interest of somebody. Yet, he gets accused. People suspect him. Just like, the classic example in the Bhagavatam is the example of Shatrajit. Shatrajit actually used to live a little bit on the outskirts of Dwarka, very, very close by. So he would come and go from Dwarka as well. And this Shatrajit was a great worshipper of the sun god. So because he was a worshipper and very, very fond of sun god, actually the sun god became very fond of him also. And the two, instead of developing a relationship of, the worshipable deity and the worshipper, they developed a relationship of friendship with each other actually. The sambandha was friendship. And so, Suryadev offered him a jewel called Samantaka jewel. And this jewel was very extraordinary. Every day it would produce 170 170 pounds of gold. Also, if he took that jewel, he put it in a locket around his neck, and sometimes, people who have wealth, they want to show it off a little bit. So he decided that I'm going to go into Dwarka riding on my chariot with this locket on. And he started moving towards, and actually he was looking so effulgent that the residents of Dwarka immediately concluding that this must be Surya Devata. So the sun god has come. And they are not surprised because they know Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in Dwarka, so many of these devatas may come to see the Lord. So like that, they thought Surya Deva has come. So they went and informed Krishna that, look, Surya Deva has come to see you. So Krishna just smiled because he knew Krishna knew he had come to exhibit his opulence. And he said, no, it is not Surya Deva, it is Satrajit. He said it is a king. He didn't even name him. He said it's a king. So he did not come actually to see Krishna. And he exhibited his opulence like that. And he was very attached to the jewel. Then one day, normally whenever there is something extraordinary, it is supposed to be offered to the king. That is the understanding. Very highly valuable things should be offered to the king. So Krishna went and he advised Satrajit that actually you should give this jewel to Maharaj Ugrasen, who is the king of all the Andhaka, Vrishnis, Yadu dynasty. He is the worthy recipient of such a jewel. Please give it to him. So Satrajit was not going to do that. So because Krishna had said that to him, Satrajit had it in mind that Krishna wants the jewel somehow. And now, one day, the brother of Satrajit, whose name was Prasena, he decided, to go in the forest alone with the jewel. And he was riding along and a huge lion attacked him and killed him. And Jambavan was in the same area and he actually then attacked the lion and he saw this Shamantak jewel and he took it. And Jambavan is at heart a devotee, so he's not enamored by anything opulent. So he gave it to his little child to play with the jewel. And then, now Prasena was killed by the lion and he did not return from the forest and he had taken the jewel. So immediately he arrived at a conclusion, the Satrajit, that Krishna must have had something to do with this disappearance of my brother. We don't know, he's missing, he's gone somewhere, and this has happened. You see how things go. So Krishna was blamed and this rumor was spread. And it was very strongly spread by Satrajit. Everybody knew Satrajit claimed that Krishna did this because he was the only one who asked for the jewel to be given to the king. Now Krishna heard this. He wanted to clear his name. It's not nice. So, should we clear our name when it is inappropriately being tarnished? Yes? No? What do you say? How many of you say yes? Yes, yes. You can make an attempt, right? To clear your name. We tend to do that. We don't want people floating around with misconceptions, because misconceptions are actually obstacles on the path of devotion. When we answer someone's questions, we are removing their misconceptions, and the misconceptions having been removed, it removes the obstacles that are on the path of devotion. So, this suspicion was actually not very nice. So Krishna took some residents of Dwarka with him to try and find out where this Prasenna, the brother, is. He had to clear his name. Now, some devotees may prefer that actually someone is saying so many nonsense things about me. I don't even pay attention to it. It doesn't matter, let them think that way. You can also choose to do that. You can choose to tolerate the insults. Make people think that you are the biggest rascal or whatever. That is also, in a way, good. There is good in everything actually, if you want to see it. So, it depends on one's choice. But sometimes it's good for the general mass of people. Because if Krishna had not cleared his name, and he is being blamed, then how will people progress? How will they make progress in spiritual life? Because they are actually unnecessarily blaspheming the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Krishna had to clear his name. So he went along with a few of those Dwarka residents, and he found Prasenna completely mauled by this. He found the remnants of his body, and he could not find the jewel in anywhere. Then he saw the tracks and went further, and he saw the lion was killed. And it was very evident that the lion was killed by a bear, by the bare hands. So it seemed like this time the lion is not the king of the jungle, The bear is the king of the jungle. Anyway, so he went further, and he actually came to the cave of Jambavan. And he asked the residents to wait outside, because they were all afraid to go into the dark cave. They did not know what to expect. So Krishna asked them all to stay outside, and he went inside. Do you want to hear this detailed story? Or should I just remain on the point? The pastimes are also very nectarian, so sometimes we may mention them. So, then he entered the cave and went further inside, and he saw that there was a nurse, and she was with a child, and the child was playing with the Samantak money. And as soon as the nurse saw that this, who is this new person here, she became afraid. And she loudly started to cry, like shouting out. And Jambavan came there. He was really disturbed and angry. He came in an angry mood. Jambavan came in an angry mood. And he saw that Krishna was there, and he thought, this person is trying to harm my child or something, whatever. But in his angry mood, even Jambavan, such a great elevated devotee, was not able to understand that this is Krishna, Supreme Lord. Why was he not able to understand? You see, sometimes it is said that the Lord cannot hide from the devotees. The Lord will always be able to not hide from the devotees. Why? Because the devotees can always recognize the Lord when they see him. In this case, why didn't he recognize? So, Jiva Goswami is explaining that Actually, was his Sridhar Swami, can't remember who, but some commentaries are there. And there it says that because Jambavan was in an angry mood and he came in front of the Lord, anybody who is in that particular mode of lust, greed, anger and other things, they cannot understand the Lord. They will not be able to recognize Him. So this is the reason given, that because of his anger, he was not able to even recognize that the Lord is right in front of him. And he started to fight with him. And that fight went on 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, and it says that the fight went on day and night. There was no stopping in the night. It just went on continuously, and by the time it was the 12th day, those residents of Dwarka who were actually waiting outside the cave, they thought something unfortunate must have happened. They became very sad that Krishna has not emerged from the cave. 12 days have gone past, what to do now? So they were very much in anxiety. None of them wanted to enter into the cave, and they actually left for Dwarka, and they informed everyone was worried. They were not knowing what has happened. And here Krishna is fighting with Jarasandha, and the fight went on for 28 days. So 12 and what are 28? Another 16 days. 28 days. And Jambavan personally knew his superhuman strength. And he was seeing that gradually over these 28 days of fighting, he's getting weaker, he's getting plummeted like anything, his limbs of the body are getting completely painful. But this person who is fighting him, it doesn't seem to be having any effect on him. And then he came to his senses. There is no one who can go, be in front of me except my Lord Himself. His anger subsided, and then he immediately recognized that actually is the Lord Himself, and he bowed down to Him. It is also described that sometimes, Prabhupada says this, that sometimes the Lord wants to, have a fight, but He wants to choose His devotee to do it. And this was a wonderful opportunity for him to actually fulfill his desire. So he covered over Jambavan for that many days so that he could fight with him. Now, then the intrigue went, this Jambavan became aware, he prayed to the Lord, there are prayers mentioned, and then he finally thought, what can I do? And he gave the Shamantak. So he did not give the Shamantak jewel yet. He didn't even know what it is, nothing. But the Lord then told him why he had come there. He said, can I have this Shamantak jewel? Because I have been defamed, and I need to prove that I did not actually do anything and take it away. So can I please have this jewel? So Krishna asked him nicely, and Jambavan gave him the jewel, and he also gave him Jambavati, his daughter. Now they were married in the cave. Jambavati and Krishna got married in that cave, very cave. So Krishna was already married to Jambavati when he came. Of course they had another celebration later, but the actual marriage took place already in the cave. Then he came out, and Krishna, they were all really worried. They were wondering what has happened. They were very, very sad in Dwarka. And all of a sudden, Krishna just appeared with Jambavati and the Shamantak jewel. So he went to Dwarka, to King Ugrasen was there in the court. And then there was a meeting called in which Satyajit was called. And in that meeting, Krishna was then narrated the whole thing, what happened. Prasanna had taken the jewel, killed by a lion, the lion was killed by Jambavan, and it was within the cave. All the stories were told. And then Krishna took the jewel and he gave it to him. So all that rumors that were spreading around that Krishna wanted the jewel, Krishna himself came and delivered the jewel back. So who could then later on say? So that rumor got completely smashed by this action of Krishna. And then Satyajit, his head was completely like that. He could not show his face to anybody. He knew that he was the culprit who actually spread all these rumors, and now Krishna is giving this jewel back to him. Found the dead body of his brother and brought it back. All signs were there of the lion attacking, everything. Now, then we see that he actually took the jewel and he left. But he was thinking, how can I turn around the situation now? Now I am the one who is being looked upon as the person who spread the wrong rumors. It's now the thing has rolled back to Satyajit. Now everyone is thinking about Satyajit like this, so he thought, I should rectify and do something. So then he came. He brought the Shamantak jewel as well as his daughter Satyabhama. Now Satyabhama was extremely beautiful. There were so many people who wanted to marry her. And Satyajit thought that this is the only way. So he gave his daughter Satyabhama to Krishna and he gave the Samantak jewel. But Krishna knew he did not want to give the Samantak jewel. He was still attached to it. So Krishna took the jewel, gave it back to him. That you keep this. There's no need for this. And he accepted Satyabhama. So what did Satyajit do? There was another very nice thing about this jewel is that anywhere this jewel is present in any country, that country will not go through any droughts, any pestilence, or any kind of, deficiency of any sort. So this was a very nice effect of this jewel. So Satyajit, what he did was he installed the jewel in a temple. He did that actually earlier. But later on he kept the jewel himself. Yeah, I think it was like that. So then what happened was, at that same time the Pandavas, this news came that they got burnt in the Shalak, the house. They got burnt in fire. And then news came to Dwarka. So Krishna and Balaram were thought that they should go for the bereavement, although they knew the Pandavas were safe. But they still went to sympathize with the relatives. So they went to Hastinapur. And in the absence of these Krishna and Balaram from Dwarka, then another conspiracy started. What was that conspiracy? And so there were kings who wanted to marry Satyabhama and could not marry, right? So they were really envious. They wanted to take some revenge from Satyajit, and they also wanted the jewel. But the surprising thing is that there were two devotees involved in their conspiracy. One of the devotees was Akrura, and the other one was Kritavarma. Now, why would a devotee get involved in a conspiracy like this? And so, there were certain kings who wanted Satyajit killed and the jewel taken. And there was a very bad person, actually. They wanted to use him. His name was Shatadhanva. Wanted to use him for this killing. And Akrura, why did Akrura and Kritavarma join this conspiracy? Because they were thinking that we know Krishna wanted the jewel and Satyajit did not give it. So they joined the conspiracy. And this time it was Jiva Goswami, he comments on this. He says that the reason why these two joined, we have to understand. The first one, say Kritavarma. Kritavarma was an associate of Kansa. So he had bad association in the past. And he was party to so many sinful activities that caused him to be involved in the conspiracy. And as far as Akrura goes, he had actually given a lot of pain to the residents of Vrindavan by taking Krishna away. Wow, amazing. So he because of the ill will of those, they did not actually, they cursed him more or less. So he became involved in a conspiracy, although a devotee. Some things sometimes happen which a devotee is no longer in control of because of what they may have done knowingly or unknowingly, but it affects us, all of us. So, not good to actually suspect somebody, but always be cautious and very vigilant, and let those who are in authoritative positions deal with such things. Otherwise, we will end up committing some aparad or something like that. So these two then arranged for it, and Shatadhanva went. At night when Satyajit was sleeping, and literally slaughtered him, butchered him, so mercilessly. And this was Satyabhama's father, Lord Krishna's father-in-law. Just imagine. He complained, Satyabhama was crying, oh my dear father, because Satyabhama was with the father at that time. Oh, she was crying like anything. So they took Satyajit's body in pieces and they kept it in oil. And immediately Satyabhama left for Hastinapur, where Krishna and Balram were, to inform them. She left herself to give this news. And it is described that Krishna became he started lamenting. Of course, the Lord knows everything, but there he exhibited his lamentation for the loss of his father-in-law. And he came away from there. He came back to Dwarka. In his absence, all of this has happened. Krishna's and Balram's absence. And when Kritavarma and Akrura heard that Krishna and Balram come back, those two immediately just fled from there, from Dwarka. And Krishna was aware of what has happened. Now, Krishna came back, and Shatadhanva found out that Krishna and Balram are back. So what to do? He immediately went. He immediately went to Kritavarma and he said, you please protect me. Kritavarma said, I can't protect you. Don't you know how powerful was Kansa? And Krishna killed him. He is the Supreme Lord. Nothing can be done about it. I cannot give you any protection. Then he went to Akrura also. And Akrura said, no, he is the Lord who creates entire universes and destroys it. How can I protect you from him? I have no power. So Satadhanva, in order to save his life, he mounted a horse. This horse could travel in one day about 400 miles, it is described. So he wanted to get away as far as possible so that he doesn't get killed by Krishna or Balaram. So he left on that horse and he traveled and he traveled and he traveled. And he really overdid the horse, and the horse died. And where did the horse die? It was near the kingdom of Mithila. Janak Maharaja's place. So, but Krishna and Balaram had already mounted a chariot and was pursuing him. So when he lost his horse, he started running. So Krishna and Balaram dismounted their chariot and they were pursuing him on foot, to be fair. And then after pursuing him for some distance, Krishna released his Sudarshan Chakra and finished off Shatadhanva. Now, Krishna did not let him go. He killed him. There, if I remember right, Srila Prabhupada mentioned that this punishment which is to be given should be as per the crime. According to the severity of the crime, that's how much you punishment give. And because he killed Shatrajit, who was his superior, like a Guruvara, that word is used, Guruvar. So if you actually disrespect or even kill a superior person, then you deserve the same fate. So that is described the reason why he was actually beheaded. Because he slaughtered Shatrajit, he was beheaded. Then Krishna came back to Dwarka. Now he knew. He looked for, after killing him, he looked for the Shamantak jewel. In his clothes, he could not find the Shamantak jewel. And this Akrura had run away to Kashi, Varanasi. And there he started to perform a lot of yagnas, sacrifices. So he was doing it with a lot of gold. And this Shamantak money is actually producing a lot of gold. So there was evidence. Otherwise how can you get so much gold to do all of those things that you're doing? So Krishna actually held a meeting and he summoned for Akrura to come from Kashi. So when Akrura came, now Akrura was like an accomplice in his father-in-law's death. Krishna's father-in-law's death, he was an accomplice. This is almost like Mahabharata, right? It is amazing. It is in the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, this story. I think chapter 56, 57, 58, something like that. So, there, now we see that Krishna called this Akrura back. And he said that I know you have the jewel. Now the jewel rightfully belonged to Shatrajit. You are in possession of it, that I know. And don't deny it. And not only that, but who is the rightful heir now? Because Shatrajit is dead. And whatever belongs to a man, then it passes on to the son. But Shatrajit only had a daughter. So there is no son. But if the daughter is there, then her son would inherit it. The daughter's son would inherit it, the wealth of the grandfather. See? So, it was already like indicated by Krishna that Satyabhama was pregnant at that time, and the son that is there, it actually rightfully belongs to him. But for now you can keep the jewel, but I want you to bring it here because I want to show to everyone that the jewel is here. Because people are speculating again. They're suspecting so many things. They are thinking, who has got the jewel? Someone must be having an ulterior motive. I want to show where it is. So he had no way to escape. Akrura had to produce the jewel. He produced it and he gave. And Krishna showed it to everyone, then gave it back to Akrura to keep it until then. Now, I told a long story because it was, probably I should have finished the whole thing here. That's the reason I told it, but although it's not very much related here, but what is important is that as devotees over time, as we mature, what should happen is we should be very, very broad-minded. If we see something happening in front of us, something inappropriate or whatever, we should not immediately pounce on it. Everything is happening, but we have to take our time, analyze the things properly and deal accordingly. Sometimes you can be really wrong about a person and commit an aparadh. I can't remember the name of that saint, but he was a great devotee, and Bhaktisiddhanta said he is a great Mahatma. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's time, there was another person, if anybody can remember the name, let me know, after I tell you something about it, is that during Bhaktisiddhanta's time, there was this great Mahatma. And the disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta wanted to go and see him. Huh? Vamsidas, right? I think that's it. Vamsidas Babaji. But he had a little problem. He was such a great saint, but he was smoking, right? Something, or he had a little bad habit. Now what if he had sent his disciples to them, and they would have seen him, that he is doing this thing? They would have criticized him, they would have committed aparadh, and their spiritual life would have been finished. So for that reason, to save them from the aparadh, Bhaktisiddhanta forbade his disciples to go and see him, although he was a Mahatma. Because Vaishnavera Kriya Mudra Vijnana Bhujaya, the level of advancement of a person, if he is a Vaishnava, is very difficult to understand sometimes. And Krishna even tolerates such little things sometimes of a devotee and eventually gets rid of it. So we have to judge, but that should not be taken like undue advantage of, that you continually do that, and that's not a good example. So in our Krishna consciousness movement, we don't tolerate that. But we don't offend. We don't tolerate it. We don't incorporate sinful activities, or we don't, everyone has to follow the 4 principles and everything. Not that, okay, I've got this little thing I'm doing, and I'm still a Mahatma. That's not going to be accommodated. Because we are a preaching movement, basically Lord Chaitanya's movement, and we have to be aware of this, that people do not just judge us by what we say. Neophytes will always judge us by what we do also. So the acharan has to be perfect as much as possible so that others cannot point a finger. And then also their faith will be there. Sometimes I have experienced it in my own life during Krishna consciousness, that there were times when I did something inappropriate which should not have been done. And I thought it was a little thing nobody would mind, but they do. It became a huge thing. It became so huge. And I thought, wow, this is not Yeah, so if we are in a preaching position, we are in a teaching position, we should be very careful. This was not an aparad here, but Sukanya had done. She was still very chaste. She was with her husband, but the husband had apparently been old, and he got given a very young body by the Ashwini Kumaras, who are the Vaidyas or the physicians of the demigods. Hare Krishna. So, shall we stop here? Any questions, comments? Yes, this one has a question.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for the nice class. We see in the past time when Krishna was accused, he retaliated to clear his name and keep up his reputation. But then on the other hand, we see in Chaitanya Charitamrita, when the neighbor of Śrīmad Thakur, he placed the paraphernalia for offering to Durga Devi, Śrīmad Thakur didn't say anything.
Yes.
So how do we understand as devotees when to keep quiet and when to retaliate?
When to?
When to retaliate to keep up the
When to try to clear your name and when not to. Each case is different. Śrīmad Thakur's very nice, you pointed that out. That's another example that's the other example of that I was talking about in the beginning. That you can choose either one. You can choose one of them. Either you try to clear your name, which is you have a right to do, or you can try to just tolerate it and be something else. But look what happened to the person who did that. I think Gopal Chapal was the one. He actually tried to defame Śrīmad Thakur. He brought all these paraphernalia of, Devi Puja and placed it in front of his door. When he opened the door in the morning, he saw this paraphernalia. And he called all the people of the village and he said, look, you're all calling me a great devotee, but look, actually I am a Shakta, I am a Kali worshipper. He started admitting even what he was not, just because someone tried to show him like that. No. Yes. So, when to do what? That is your question. It depends on whether you can take it. First of all, there's one thing, is that suppose someone is trying to criticize you. Can you tolerate it? Or does it disturb your mind so much that instead of thinking of Krishna, you're always thinking of what he has done to you? Right? If you can tolerate it and you can put it out of your mind and not be that incident conscious, but still Krishna conscious, then you can do that. You can ignore it. And don't bother with it and just go along with it. But if you cannot tolerate it, then you're bringing it to the attention of someone else. That this has happened if you can't deal with it yourself, or you yourself deal with it and actually show that actually you had not done it, or this was not your fault. Then the third option, of course, what Krishna showed that he had to clear his name so that others do not commit further aparad. That is also there. So there are these options, and one has to judge one's own internal strength, spiritual strength, in order to see which one he chooses. Is that clear? I think that's... Anyone else has any comments on that? Any other questions? All right. So, we stop here. Granth-raj Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Bhaktivedanta ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bo. Yes. still a lot is left, but I did not have the time. And I did not know